Carrie, if weight training can change your strength, your health, and your quality of life at any age, why do we keep waiting for the perfect moment to start?
I feel like that is such a good question. And it also applies to so many people, myself included. So I'm going to answer it sort of what I feel for myself, but I think that a lot of people fall under this umbrella. It's a time consuming thing. It's like life is really busy. It's an added extra, okay, let me get to that or do that. And I think that a lot of people prioritize other things. And even though health should be a major priority for people, they just kind of push that sort of to the side, don't make it a priority. I think this day and age too, like especially for women, we're all working now. We used to not work. I also think that kind of back in the day, it wasn't as working out. It was always there, but it wasn't so at the forefront of everything. And so I think as a society, we're still trying to not look at working out and taking care of our health as indulgent. You know what I mean? Because I think that there's still sort of something in our mindset that feels like that's an indulgent thing to do, at least for me sometimes, where I'm like, okay, well, I have my job. I'm grocery shopping. I'm taking the kids everywhere. I'm cleaning the house. I'm doing the laundry. And if I pause on all what I consider to be what, maintains my whole entire life to take care of myself, then somehow I'm selfish. I'm not prioritizing the right things, even though that is the right thing. It feels indulgent a little
Interesting.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I've got to really sit and think about that one.
Yeah.
I love that answer for sure. All right. Well, let's get into it.
One time,
Right. I'm really excited about today's episode. I wanted to bring in my trainer, Tamyra, because she's a badass and she's really good at what she does. And you'll hear that as we get into it. As a woman of a certain age, I would say weight training has become my go-to workout. And I feel that it's very important for both men and women. So in this episode, we're going to do a deep dive into what is weight training. And you're going to be able to see what Tamyra's biggest breakthrough is, to myths trainers face, as well as performance tips, age-proof advice, gym stories, and long-term health. Let's get into it. Welcome, Tamyra.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited.
This is awesome.
Okay, so I want to do a little bit of an icebreaker. What would you say you have? I'm sure you have many, but what would you say is a fun gym story or something funny someone has said in the many years that you've been doing this?
I mean, there's a lot. Usually it has to do with people not listening to me when I'm talking to them. But I will say, when I think about that, the very first thing that comes to mind is I was in college, and there's probably a lot that I'll go back to with being in college, but I was in college, I was a trainer. And so in a college town, most of the members in this gym are college age. And I remember this woman, and at the time I thought she was old, which she was probably now our age. And she came out of the locker room in her lingerie and started working out. And I'm looking around at the other trainers, and we're like, what? She can't, are those workout clothes? Is this something new? No. She was straight out in lingerie, and we had to tell her, like, ma'am, you have to go put clothes on. Like, you can't work out in lingerie. I think she was trying to find some like cougar, right?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I mean, was this like she was coming back from a big night, or she was getting ready to?
Oh no, I think this was probably like at 3 p.m, and she was just starting her workout.
Oh my God.
Like I don't remember if it was a print or not, but it was a nightie.
Well, I don't know. I guess that's loose. Everything's loose.
I guess so. She was comfortable. Hey, good for her, right? I guess.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Let's keep a little more covered in the gym.
Yeah. I mean, there are certain times if you've got it, flaunt it, but maybe not necessarily in the gym.
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the first times I started working out with you, I hate mornings, and most of your workouts are early mornings. And I just remember one of the first training sessions I went to, it was super early, and I got up and I I was late because I thought it started at a different time, and I showed up like 10 minutes late. Everybody's working out, and I realized that my pants were inside out, that they were completely, nobody could, yeah, and I just fully admitted it.
I was going to say, I don't remember. Clearly, no one was like, oh, Melanie's pants are inside out.
I think I just came in and said, I'm sorry I'm late and my pants are inside out, so you're just going to have to deal with it.
That sounds right.
Good times. One of many, for sure. Okay, well, I would love to hear a little bit about you if you want to talk about how you got into training and kind of just take us to how you are such a badass now.
I am such a badass. No, so I was in college and I was taking a weight training class because I started working out when I was in high school. And I would go and I would work out with friends, and I would always kind of have a plan for people even before I knew this is what I wanted to do. But anyway, I was in college, I was in a weight training class, and I had to do a makeup. And part of my makeup was to go and monitor people in a gym. I don't remember exactly what I had to do, but I thought this could be an industry that I am actually interested in. And so when I started college, I was an anthropology major. And basically after that weight training class and talking to that coach, I switched to kinesiology. And I got a job at a gym, and I never went back. I can say, and I don't think there's many people out there, I have been personal training or coaching since I was in college. I never stopped.
That's wild. That's so wild, because not many people know even what they want to do in college, let alone, when they get out, they're still trying to figure it out. That's insane. Well, good for you. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Take me to your out of college. Where do you want to go? How do you get your first client? What do you do to get your first client?
So, like I said, when I was in college is when I started working at a gym, and I was at a front desk, and it was a small gym, and the owners there specifically kind of worked with young athletes. So I also think I'm special in that was my kind of surrounding for my first gym, is working with athletes. And so I was at the front desk, and then he quickly saw something in me having to do with being able to train and coach people. And he was like, all right, we need to get you certified. You're going to start following me around, and we're going to get you out of the desk. And I was like, okay. And of course, starting off, a lot of it was, well, like I said, I was working with young athletes, but at that time I was still learning, right? Kind of learning how to program or how to motivate. But really it was, a lot of, at that time, I guess, a numbers game to me in my head. I remember writing out programs, but I would all of it was a percentage. I didn't really know how to go from point A to point B without doing math.
Yeah.
But once I was in college and I was working at said studio with people in lingerie, that's really where I started working with women, a lot of women that were older than me. And I realized I was changing more lives, right? I had a client who was like, I just want to build more muscle. And then over the course of however long, I think it was a little over a year, we worked together. And then they moved and they said, and by the way, I'm transitioning and you made me feel more comfortable in my skin. And I remember crying, and I got a thank you card from their partner and them. And then they moved, and I've never seen them since. But I thought, this is what I can do. This is not about just aesthetics with college kids and losing weight, but I can help people feel more comfortable in their own skin. And then since then, it's changed into the whole longevity, right? Longevity is a big word right now. And so helping people's live life longer and fuller.
Wow, that's really special to have, an experience like that, to make someone who's transitioning to then feel comfortable. Whereas maybe if they were with somebody else, they would be on a different path.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, that's exciting. So I guess, what would you want clients to know before starting?
I think it's important to realize that, as a trainer, we're here to help you reach goals, but really we can't do that without changing habits. There's a lot more that goes into it than just breaking a sweat to reach goals. And I don't think there's people that get that, and then there's people that don't. But a lot of what a personal trainer does, and what I wish people, I don't know how you would know this before, but it's part of what we do in kind of an assessment session or a first intro session, is how ready are you to make changes to your habits or adapt to new habits. That's a big part of it. And so the more you're already on board with that in the beginning, the faster that whole process takes, I suppose. Something maybe people don't.
Yeah, well, everyone's different. So, some take on to it faster and some already know and are fully committed. And then I'm sure there are some clients who it's really kind of a slow turtle race.
Yeah. And that's a lot with the one-on-ones.
Yeah. Do you like one-on-one, or do you prefer a smaller class?
I used to say I like one-on-one over classes, but with, I guess, with the pandemic and everything shutting down and things, I stopped teaching in very big gym, like box gyms and with big classes, and everything kind of shifted for me to small group and one-on-ones. I would say I love both. I love my small groups, but I also really work or enjoy working with somebody one-on-one, where you really, sometimes it's not the fun stuff, it's the nitty-gritty, but where you're really helping take care of that one person. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. What would you say, talking about COVID, was the biggest change from pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID? Were more people into working out? Was there a change for the worse or for the better, or not at all?
No, I think there was a change. I don't know if it's for the better or not, but I think that people are way more aware of, well, at least from where I sit, I feel like there's more awareness towards the aspect of your health, right? It's not necessarily just fitness, but how does fitness impact everything else? And to me, that's kind of a bigger topic now with people than it used to be. So yeah, I guess that would be more beneficial.
Yeah, well, more people are aware, and then more people want to go to the gym or go see a trainer, I would assume. But, I know for me personally, COVID turned me on to TikTok, and
yes.
Yeah. But in a good way, I think, because I really like to work out, and I was really good about doing the workouts at home with my daughter sometimes, but it turned me more onto skincare and taking better care of my skin, because I am a woman of a certain age that things are showing more. So I felt like that's how COVID benefited me personally. So I would hope that for working out purposes, that's something like that. I mean, to buy a weight, to buy any weights, to buy a dumbbell, anything, you couldn't. And they were so expensive during COVID, because everybody had their own little home gym during COVID. It was so frustrating for me.
Awesome. At the same time, that's so awesome that people were buying out all the weights.
Yeah. No, it was great for everybody else who used it for 2 years and then stopped. But no, it's great. I mean, at least everybody had a goal, and hopefully it worked for them in the end, anyhow. So I guess I would say, do you train just ordinary everyday people? Do you train athletes? Have you trained athletes? And if so, what would you say the difference is between training an athlete and training an everyday client like myself?
So I have trained both. Most of the athletes that I've worked with, though, are going to be on the younger side or go in college. I do currently have a handful of women clients that play soccer or play flag football or play pickleball, padel. So I guess, they're athletes too. Not professional athletes, but they're people that are worried about getting injured. And the younger clients are worried about injury prevention, maybe in a little different way. But yeah, so I have trained both, and they are different. Your, general public, you're training someone for their specific goals, but in general, that's going to be a lot broader, right? Meaning movement is broader. You can do more things that you want to try to help them with their specific goal. However, when you work with an athlete, you're really trying to be more movement specific and injury prevention, but you're looking at different movement planes, depending on what their sport is, explosiveness, which if, general public and the explosiveness, that might not be a thing that is important to what they need. So I think the biggest thing between training an athlete and training someone of general pop is that movement specific and explosiveness difference in their workouts and how they should look at that.
Okay. You were kind of mentioning like younger athletes. What do you think would be a good age to start? I mean, in weight training can also be strength training and weight training. Are those the same things? Is that different? What would you is the difference? Is it just two different words?
Yeah, I think they're more or less two different words to me.
Same meaning.
Same.
Okay.
Same meaning.
So how old would you say? When would you recommend someone to start strength training? Would someone who's in their 70s, are they too old to start strength training? Or?
Not at all. I don't think there's any age that's too old to start wanting to strength train. I think it's great if somebody is able to do that, then they should do that, And as far as young, I mean, we're starting to be so sport specific, like one sport specific at such a young age that I think strength training can only benefit them in that way, because we're seeing more injury because they're just doing one sport. So if you can tackle some of that injury prevention with strength training, then you should be doing that. I think science says, right, that you can't, like we used to say, don't train too young because you're going to get hurt and then you're going to stunt your growth. But that was based on the fact that if you're still growing and you break something at the bone plate, then you are going to stunt your growth. But if it's, with a personal trainer or with a coach or somebody who knows what they're doing and it's supervised, then they're safe and they should be able to do it in a smart way so that they don't get hurt. And then, I mean, I'd say, preteen, you could start doing it, like strength training with some weights, 100%. I think that if you're 12, you're totally safe to start training. And if you're an athlete, you 100% should think about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like, again, I keep going back to my age, but we lived in a time where we were able to play multiple sports and utilize different muscles, which I feel like contributed to not a ton of injuries and specific injuries. Whereas kids these days, like you said, only have one sport that they can really play, maybe two, but then they're only using those specific muscles, which then it's overuse. And if you're not doing the strength training, or you're not using bands, or you're not doing the thing or stretching, doing the right stretches for a certain amount of time, I think has contributed to a lot of injuries of kids that are younger these days. And I think a lot of the clubs, a lot of the schools aren't bringing that in and recognizing, okay, we want you to play 24/7, 365 days, but we don't want you to have any knowledge, or we don't want to help contribute to, band work or, any of that stuff. And so I think that's really important to kind of start getting that going early. And if your kid's only doing one sport, they need to be doing strength training or band work or what have you to help build your other muscles.
100%. Yeah. I think it's one of those that's slowly coming around. Yeah. Where we came from, don't let kids touch weights. And now, like even when I was younger, you couldn't go into the weight room without an adult there with you.
What would you say matters more? Would you say mental training, or would you say physical training? Or both?
That's a great question. Because they're both really important. I mean, the whole field of sports psychology wouldn't exist if the mental part of it wasn't important. I mean, if I had to pick a side, I would probably follow through with the physical, only because of all the other things that it can end up affecting. But at the same time, you can only perform as well as your attitude is allowing you to do, right? So they're pretty hand in hand, but if you don't have the physical aspect, I think a lot more things can go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely feel like for me, my mentality does not do well if I have not had a workout or if I don't do something physical, then I feel blah. Like I definitely need that physical stimulation to help with my mental clearing and be able to, once I'm done working out, then I'm like, okay, now I've got my head on straight. But not everybody feels that way. Or some people are like, oh man, I'm mentally just not there and physically I'm not there. So why would I even go work out? And it's kind of needing the accountability of at least having a partner or a trainer or a class or having somebody that can push you to kind of get to that point. I feel like they go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand. Yeah. I mean, we know too, right? It's been proven that exercise helps with mental, not disabilities, but you know what I'm trying to say, like emotional stuff, right? I mean, if somebody is dealing with a lot of stress or a lot of really hard thing in their life, we know that exercise or just getting your heart rate going for a walk, any of that is going to help you feel better. Yeah. They go hand in hand. But as an athlete, I think you have to have the physical to be able to play your sport, right?
So with the athletes, would you say that there is an off season and an on season training? Do you train athletes for, stronger, harder, faster in the off season and then kind of lighter on the on season? Does it just vary on the sport?
No, I don't think it varies on the sport. I think that, I guess it varies more on how hard you're playing. I'm thinking of, my women who play their sport, and some of them do it year round, and it's like every Sunday or every Saturday and Sunday, or those people that have a season, right? So in that sense, where if you have a season where you're playing a lot in one period of time, then your training does need to shift, right? Because you're not trying to be sore or tight during a period of time where you need to be up and you need to be able to move. So I would say, yeah, it does change. I think it should be different between on season and off season. And the biggest thing I would say is that in the off season, you need to take that time to kind of spend more time hitting heavier lifts, slower, heavier. When you're in season, you want to just constantly work on your kind of explosiveness, your recovery, right? Your injury prevention, your stabilization, your mobility, things like that, keeping you moving. But in off season, that's your chance to try to go heavier. Let's build some strength. It's okay if you're sore, more sore.
Yeah, unless you can't walk down the stairs. I beg.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I do. It's not a great feeling of being sore and you can't even sit down without holding onto a wall. I mean, I say that's a good thing, but it's not good when you're in the moment. That's for sure. But that's okay. I'm building muscle as I'm crying.
Yeah,
totally. What do you think that elite athletes consistently do that most people don't?
Probably more of the progression and more take their recovery and their off days more seriously, right? You have to have those periods of time to actually rebuild, right? If you're always go, that is where, especially as an athlete, you're going to find yourself in trouble. And professional and elite athletes they're in the know on that 100% with their coaches too. So there's the recovery periods. And then when I say progression, I mean, they're working on, a 6-week program that has a goal. They're starting at point A and the goal is point B, whether that is a weight or whatever it is, a rep range or a movement. It could be movement based, but that's going to be very methodical. And I think that general pop probably isn't really thinking about that as much. And that was one of the things that CrossFit did was, the constant changing of everything. They always thought everything needed to be new and everything needed to be different. And I know that even CrossFit has changed kind of from that. Even within CrossFit, you'll see a lot of progression based workouts now too. But general pop doesn't know all of that, right? So there's still a lot of just everything is just, whatever I feel like doing all the time. But when you're guided by someone at the level of an elite athlete, you know when you need to have a recovery or a deload week, and when your training needs to keep progressing.
Yeah. Something not a lot of us will experience, but that's fine.
It's hard if you're just thinking like, okay, I'm in fitness and this is just you and I know we're always working out. So it's hard to take that week off and to think about taking it off and being serious about it, unless you're like on vacation or something like that. But to think, okay, when this 12-week program and then I'm going to take a week off, but you're like, for what? Because then I'm just going to keep going, because you don't have a season or a sport that is kind of your end goal. I think so. It's harder for people to think, I need to take that week off, but they are important to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel, because then you kind of burn out for some people, if you just keep going, you don't give yourself that break. And then burning out could mean months, years before you even want to get back into working out, which I feel is not beneficial. So it's having that time to yourself, whatever it is. Either you just go on a walk or you don't, or the next day you just sit, whatever your recovery means to you that gets you feeling right. I know I've been burnt out before, and I gained like 16 pounds from a burnout, and I hated every second of those 16 pounds, and then started seeing you and thank the good Lord, because it's definitely, when you get back into it, you feel great, but it's just recognizing that that's what you need, and being told that that's what you need, and you don't need to go all the time. Okay, I'm going to switch things here a little bit. I would say, what do you think are some of the most overrated fitness trends right now?
Overrated fitness trends. Let's see. Trying to think, like, I think about things that are on social media, right? Like HIIT. Not that I'm not saying that HIIT's not important, because as you know, I really think that HIIT is good, but I don't think people need to be doing HIIT workouts every day, because honestly, if you're really doing HIIT, you can't do that every day. That would be rhabdo. That would be, you'd be in big trouble.
Now explain what HIIT is for those people who don't know what HIIT is.
Yeah. So HIIT would be high interval intensity training, high intensity interval training. I got my eyes mixed up. So that would be going up, really, you should be doing it by watching your heart rate if you're really doing it. So you're going to get your heart rate to zone, like if you're using an Apple Watch, it's your red zone, it's your zone 5, it's your max heart rates, and then recovering. And then you're doing that for whatever the prescribed workout is. It can change, but you're doing zone 5, you're doing zone 2, you're going back up to zone 5, you're going back down to zone 2, you're recovering all the way. So and you could do that in any form on any kind of piece of equipment. Or not even equipment, just body weight, running, whatever. But yeah, the lows, highs and lows. That's it.
Got it. And is it for a short amount of time? Is it like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or can it be like 20-minute HIIT?
You could do a 20-minute HIIT. I think it's really important, especially when you get going with HIIT, though, that you are trying to follow your heart rate. And if you don't have a heart rate monitor, then you're going by feeling. Okay, it's really hard for me to catch my breath, and now I am totally recovered. I'm breathing normal. I feel good. Now I'm going to go again. So whatever that is. And so sometimes it takes you a lot longer to get down back into that low zone. So if you're doing, you could take 30 minutes to do 5 intervals, depending on how hard you're going and how long it takes for you to recover. So, you could do a HIIT for 30 minutes. You're not doing HIIT for much longer than that, or at least you're not doing intervals, right, for that long. You could, my head is going, I'm like, well, but if you did this, because I'm like, well, if you threw in abs in the middle of your cardio while you're letting your heart rate come down, then you could make it longer. But no, and honestly, like, let's say on average, you're not trying to really go past 30 minutes.
Yeah. Because a HIIT, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking, like, a HIIT feels, I've done them before, but it's just, you could do it on your phone, and it's different because you don't know like things that you could be doing, like you said, like, oh, and then you could be doing abs in here, or then you could be doing, all these other things. Yeah, I don't know a lot of people that do HIIT anymore. That's definitely something I think during COVID was probably something just because people didn't have the resources at the time.
Yeah. My algorithm is definitely all workout stuff.
Yeah.
So it's still very much out there, I feel like, in the social media world. I just learned of a woman that actually got rhabdo from just constantly taking these HIIT classes. That might be also why it's on my mind, because I know someone personally that is going through this.
Yeah. And now explain what rhabdo is.
Basically, you're killing your kidneys. It's like going into ketosis. Yeah, you're peeing black and your body can't function anymore. You have to go to the hospital.
And how do you get rhabdo? I mean, we're going down like a dark path, but for someone who's like, well, I don't really need a trainer. I don't really need to do this. I'm going to do HIIT. Yeah. Maybe things to look out for.
I mean, at this point, you're overtraining and you're just trying to push hard all the time. And you're not spending any days or within your workout time really recovering.
Got it. Okay, I'm going to take this up to a more positive note. How do you feel about New Year's Eve resolutions?
I mean, I personally don't do them. I think that they can be good for certain people. I think that finding anything that can help you motivate is a good thing. I would say, though, I think it's important to have a mindset shift that goes from like a short-term goal to a long-term kind of system or sustainability of what your new routine and your habits are. Mm-hmm. So if you set a New Year's resolution, sometimes that's so focused on a goal without really a path that's why then in February people forget about their New Year's resolutions. And again, that's not everyone, but in my experience, New Year's resolutions usually are a short-term thing, unless somebody is there to help them say, okay, well, let's look at the steps that need to be taken for this to happen. But if you're just looking at an end goal and you don't know your roadway, to me, that's you're missing the mark with that.
Right. So would you say if I don't work out and I come to you and I'm like, I've got a New Year's resolution, I want to work out more, would you start off by saying something small like, let's try once a week and see how you feel about that? What would you recommend?
So one of my questions with people is always, well, what's realistic to you? Right. And if you've never worked out before, we also need to take it just into an account where you're at. So does a workout mean once with me so we can focus on some of your weaknesses and some of, some strength? And then a couple other days a week, you're starting to just move more, walks or whatever it is. So everyone is going to be different. I'm never going to tell anyone, oh, that's a stupid goal. Because like I said, I think it's important. Whatever motivates you is good. Things in my assessment with people, I think of SMART, right? So very measurable, very realistic, and a kind of time bound. So we can say, okay, here's where we're trying to be, and it's realistic, and we can measure it. Now let's think about what are the steps that we need to do. What's an everyday task that you can do and you can clearly know and you can check it off to help you get there. And then you're learning in that process, you're learning how to build habits too.
Got it. We've talked a lot about strength training, but then there's also the cardio side of things. Is there a balance? Is there one that's more sustainable long-term? How do you feel about cardio versus strength training?
I mean, I think that they're both important. I think that they're both important. Strength training to me is more important for long term, but your cardiovascular health, I mean, that's at the bottom line of it all. That's your heart, right? So that 100% is important. And I think that it's good to have a balance between, like we were talking about with your HIIT, but also with your zone 2 or your aerobic where you're comfortable and you can have a conversation.
So would you say that maybe once a week, if you're just kind of starting out like cardio, and once a week of strength training, or cardio can be walking or going up and down stairs or just getting up and moving? if you're just starting out?
Yeah, if you're just starting out, I mean, I'm always going to say we need 2 days of strength training. And remember, if you're just starting out, your strength training can 100% be just body weight stuff, right? Well, we're looking at a minimum of 2 days for strength training because that's where we start to see progression. And then for cardio, again, that walking, like you said, is great. And that is something that we should be doing most days of the week. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so kind of going back to pain and suffering, would you when would you say, if someone's coming to you, for instance, like, oh, I'm really sore from the workout yesterday, as opposed to a genuine kind of pain? How do you know the difference between I'm sore and I'm hurt?
So kind of your general rules are going to be soreness comes on 24 to 48 hours and is made better with movement. An injury is going to be something that is more acute, instantaneous, and is made worse by movement over time. That's going to be your general rule of thumb.
Got it. And then my experience with you, and I would hope that there's other trainers, is that I really like that when have been injured, that you immediately have something that I can work on to kind of help with that, or recommendation. And I think it's very important for trainers, good trainers, who see it and spot it, and to continue even after I've left. You've reached out, like I said, you've sent me little gifts to help me get better. And I think it's really important that a good trainer, coach are not consistent, but their people matter to them, and their progress and their injuries matter to them, and that they obviously want them to get better. Because I feel like there's some, you go to the bigger gyms where you don't get the coach's eyes, and they don't get to watch you, and they don't get to see if you're doing it right. And if you're injured, they're like, oh, I don't know, good luck. Go see, a massage therapist or something. So I feel like with strength training, it's finding a coach, finding a trainer that really cares about your well-being, because obviously I think if my well-being is good, then I'm going to keep coming to your class.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was going to say, right? You're only as strong as your foundation is. So if you're not moving well or something is hurting, then we need to get to the bottom of that so that you can keep moving and you can keep progressing, because we can't progress if we're building a house on a, unstable foundation. That's how I see it. Yeah. And I want you to be better, and I want you to be stronger. So that's my job. I heard somebody in my gym the other day, their client said, oh, I'm sorry. I keep getting this wrong. And his response, and I thought, oh, I am so mean. I've never said this to anybody before. But he was like, but it's not, don't be sorry. If you're not doing it right, that's my bad. That's my job. And I was like, that is so true. So
it's not you, it's me.
It's me.
I've heard that line before.
Because it's true. As the trainer, that's really what you're there for, right? It's not to count reps, but we're watching you. And a lot of it's, and programming for you so that you don't get injured.
Yeah. So there's a line that you've said that I think has always stuck with me, and I would love for you to kind of talk a little bit about it, is women are not small men.
Yeah. No, I wish I could say I coined that, but I did not. That is Dr. Stacy Sims. She is to me, she's on a pedestal. Scientists who have finally started to do research on women in health and fitness. And she coined that based on the fact that in the past, all that we know was done on men, and then it was shrunk to fit women. Like, whether it's muscle tissue, like fast twitch versus slow twitch, even, we know that men and women are inherently different, but we didn't know that before. Now we do, because people are starting to study women. or the way women break down carbohydrates or how much protein, because we don't store protein like men do. But we were just told, okay, well, if men are taking 50 grams, we'll just tell women to take 25 grams of protein. But there was no science behind it because no one was studying it. But Dr. Stacy Sims has really been a big person in the forefront of this, studying women. And so that's her term. And I love it. So that's where that came from. I didn't make it up.
What would you say in her book is the biggest takeaway for you, besides that line, of course?
I mean, she was one of the first people to also start talking about periods and training and how we're going to feel different depending on where we are in our cycle, right? So not to say that we need to necessarily train differently, but that it's okay if we're weaker, you know, right before our period, or if we're taking longer to recover. There's reasons for that. And now we know that. It's not just like, okay, I just feel crappy now. It's like, no, okay, we know we feel crappy. So maybe this is a period of time where, you know, we should recover more or go slower or have a day off, or, you know, and then there's times where, you know, you know the reason for it.
Right. Right. Would you say you're feeling weak? You know it's because of your period. Is it, okay, should I be eating more red meat? Would that be helpful? Or is it just feel how your body's feeling and continue to eat as you eat?
I think it's more that. Yeah, I think it's good to just really listen to your body. You should always be eating well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
if it was that easy.
I know. Well, here in America, it's a little different, but it takes a lot of restraint to eat well all the time. I know specifically for myself, that's hard, but that's all right. You know, we're all human, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What would you say as you're training people, multiple people? Are there a lot of injuries that you're seeing? It, you know, as women of certain ages, men of certain ages, that just kind of everybody's all over the place. Like women's soccer, it's a lot of knee injuries. Is there a lot of specific injuries in weight training?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's specific injuries in weight training, but I will say that I've seen a lot of people that I've seen, like, as in it's changed. It's always been this way, but it's hips and low back, because I think a lot of people are sitting at a computer, right? You're sitting down a lot more than maybe we ever did. And so just that position of sitting is so hard on anterior muscles. And so, yeah, hips and low back are something that I see a lot of.
So what would you recommend for someone who maybe doesn't work out, but they're listening and they've been sitting at the desk? What would you recommend? A quick get up and a good hip exercise would you recommend? You don't have to show it. I mean,
that could be a lot of different things. It depends on, you know, on somebody specifically, but I think just moving your spine, like think about moving your hips in circles or moving your legs in circles. I think those are really big ones. I mean, we do those all the time. But the one thing too that happens when we're sitting a lot is the spine just loses its mobility. And when you can't move your spine in all the ways that it was meant to move, then that's going to lock up almost every extra, you know, your legs, your arms, moving, getting fluid through your spine, getting fluid through your hips, probably just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like during COVID, everyone was at home. Everyone was kind of sitting around. People weren't having to get up and walk to their car to then walk to the office. And, you know, they were just kaput. And I think a lot of people are still doing that these days. How do you feel about, as we're aging, do things change as we age when we're working out? Like in our group, there's women of many, many different ages. Do you just base a workout and you're just like, here's the workout, and everyone's going to modify and everyone's going to kind of do what they do? Doesn't matter their age?
I mean, it does matter your age. When you're 20 versus when you're 40 or you're 50, that is going to be different. You should be doing a more specific warm up. As we get older, warm-ups are one of those things that are very, very important for preventing injury. So I think I take more time in my warm-ups with my women that are over 40 versus my women that are in their or the teenagers. I'm still doing warm-ups. I'm not saying that warm-ups aren't important, but as we age, I think that they become more important. And then things like the foam roller or stretching afterwards, I think people need to be better about as we age too, just because our muscles start to lose elasticity too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. How important is it when you leave the gym and you go home to continue stretching, continue foam rolling? Because I know for me, I never foam rolled when I was younger. No, I mean, not even in my 20s, not even in my 30s, and still 30s. Haven't hit my 40s yet. But I would say foam rolling, I feel like has kind of just, maybe it hasn't just become a thing, but I feel like foam rolling is more important these days, or it's talked about a little bit more than what I've grown up seeing.
Oh, for sure. I remember when it started to become a thing in gyms, and I did whatever little workshop on foam rolling. And I remember at one point I was training a doctor, and I was like, oh, we had these foam rollers. Let's get you on this foam roller. And he was training for a try, and he was like, this hurts so much. It cannot be good for you.
Yeah.
So I can remember to back then, right, when I had a triathlete medical doctor client who told me, I'm not doing that because it doesn't feel good. There's no way this is beneficial to my muscles. And now we know we need to, because what happens, right? I mean, in general, you foam roll, you get blood flow into the area, you start breaking stuff up, then you stretch and you can potentially get a little bit more out of your stretch, a little bit more range of motion. So when we talk about after workouts, yeah, I definitely, and sometimes I know we don't do it right away, but we should be doing it at some point in the day. If you've worked out that day, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Prime example is you've been making us do calf work, and my calves, like I didn't do any stretching after. I didn't really do any stretching at home. And 2 days after that, I was walking on my tiptoes because I couldn't even put my heel down because it hurt so bad. I'd get out of bed and I would just tiptoe everywhere. And then the following week, we did calf work. I remember we got the bar out and did and it, by far, I must say, I've had 2 children, and this is a pain for me personally that is really hurtful. Like it hurts so bad, but I did not have that pain the next day. Like it was night and day. It's probably because it's breaking everything up literally in my calves, but you could totally tell that is really important. And I know I should do it more, but certainly more aware of that now. But it's definitely for our kids, especially with kids who are only doing one sport, and you're seeing those common injuries, who need to be doing those stretches, to be doing the foam rolling and everything after they do a workout, because that's how their injuries are also continuing. I would say.
I mean, even after tournaments and games and things like that, they should be thinking about that.
Yeah. Let's take it back to clients.
Okay.
What would you say, what's an ideal client for you besides me?
I mean, you're a hard one to beat there. No,
it's easy.
We kind of talked about it, or I touched on it earlier when I was talking about someone who is ready for change, right? So if you come in and you're committed, even more than just being committed to like working out, but being committed to the process of having to change things about how you're living, because you didn't get, if that's not true. Well, let's say if you have a big goal, you didn't get to where you are now with good habits, right? So we need to work on really changing those. And that can be really, that's the hard stuff. That's not the stuff that when I see you for an hour, we're working on. That's the stuff you're working on your own. Those are the things that you need to be accountable to by yourself, with yourself. And so if somebody is really committed and aware of that process and ready to change, I think those are my ideal clients.
Yeah. Not ones who you have to repeat 5 times to 6 different people how many squats you're supposed to do.
I know that's a running joke. And every time I see something on social media about that, it still makes me laugh because it's so true.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just used to that too. I might roll my eyes, but
I don't know how you have the patience because I do it all the time. I'm always like, how many squats did you say? And you're like, 5. I'm like, "Oh, I knew it. Okay. And then you hear somebody else and they're like, how many squats? The amount of times you have to repeat yourself, you are truly a saint because I don't know how you do it. Honestly.
Well, I mean, it's just part of it, right? I wrote the workout. That's the other thing I have to like remind myself. I wrote it. You guys didn't write it. You showed up and you're there. So even if I roll my eyes and I'm annoyed, I have to remind myself, okay, but they didn't write this. I did. So why should I expect them to know? But somebody asked me the other day, do you get annoyed saying like, cause I say good job all day long, good job, or counting to 10. She said, do you get annoyed counting to 10? I said, no, those things, I probably count to 10. I don't even know how many times, or just to whatever number.
Yeah.
I count all day long, but that is just such second nature to me. Sometimes I do it and I'm talking and I can just do this. And then I'm like, no, you're on 9. But even though I wasn't actually moving my mouth or saying it out loud. So, but when I've said something and I know someone wasn't listening when it comes to my programming and then I have to demo again or say it again, I'm like, okay, that's
Annoying.
I mean, it is, but it's not, right? I mean, it's probably the most annoying thing about what I have to do during the day. It's not the end of the world.
I know. You just do it so much every class. I mean, your classes are an hour and it's literally like you're repeating yourself to every single person like 6 times. I love it. I mean, I love it a joke, but I can't imagine like going through that, but you know, it's all right. Have you ever had to fire a client?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give a round without totally calling them out? Or you can call them out if you're...
No, it was a while ago when I was a trainer in San Francisco, and this was, business person, and they would come in all the time. I'm on a call, so don't talk to me. Just tell me what to do. And this went on for maybe a month, where then I was finally like, this isn't working. You're not respecting me. You're not even listening to me. Actually, I fired 2 because I'm like, oh no. But that one was probably, I can handle a lot.
Yeah.
But that took the cake.
Yeah. Well, it's all about respect and respecting your time and what you've put into training them and what you have built to get them going, and they just don't even care.
There's a difference between between just wanting to work out and being told what to do versus someone putting in the time to actually try to help you, which is how I work. And so I was like, you need a different trainer.
Yeah. Or just go try it yourself.
Yeah.
Good luck. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
Squats or deadlifts?
Deadlifts.
And how much can you deadlift?
Me? Boy. I think I just recently did, I don't know, actually. I write everyone else's numbers down. No, I write my numbers down too. I'd have to look at my phone. I know it's over 200, not quite 3. I'm still working on my 3 for a range. Actually, I don't know. I haven't tried to do 1 rep max on my deadlift in a while. I might be there, but I'm definitely probably around 250 for like 4-5 reps.
That's insane and amazing also at the same time. Well, I know this answer and I kind of want to... Morning workouts or night workouts?
I'm going to say morning workouts. I think it's important, one, people are more successful when they do something first thing and when they wake up, right? Yep. Whether that's an early morning, it's a late morning, but it's your morning when you wake up, because you're going to have less excuses to not get it done when it's the first thing that you do. But also it just goes with your circadian rhythm. There's a lot more talk about that and how important that is for our health. So when you're doing something that's going to amp you up before you're trying to wind down, and you're not, instead, versus getting yourself amped up when you're supposed to be waking up, I think that does something to your body too.
No, I totally agree. That's happened to me a few times, and it then like trying to fall asleep, and then it takes longer to fall asleep, and then you're
Yeah.
hungry, and then you wake
Right.
up starving, and then you eat more, and it just feels
All the things.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've not been a morning person, and now I am because of you. And yeah, I just can't imagine now working out at like 9 a.m. That feels like nighttime. A little different. Okay, pre-workout or coffee?
I mean, I
Or
think
both.
that
Pre-workout
I
in your
think,
coffee.
well, I don't know if you would need to do both, but I think that that changes with what your goals are, right? Coffee is going to give you that caffeine, that little kick, but in your pre-workout, you can get extra things. I would be careful of pre-workouts that have too much stimulation, like too much caffeine. But if you take a pre-workout that has beta alanine or it has creatine, those are things that are good for you, that help keep your blood flowing during your workout, that help keep not recovery, but just helps keep things open so that your blood flow is going, helps you with quicker recovery. I think it depends on the person and your goal and your workout. I'm not anti either.
Would you say protein? I don't want to say shake, like a protein drink or piece of chicken when you get home, or some sort of meat protein-ish type thing?
I mean, it should always be real food over supplements, but that's hard to do. I fall into that category as well. But real food is always going to be better than any kind of man-made supplement. But if you're not going to get, again, nowadays, or it's up to 30, 40 grams of protein after your workout, and that should be, what are the new numbers? It's under an hour, maybe 30 to 45 minutes after a workout. So it can be hard to get 30 to 40 grams of protein if you've just worked out and you're headed to work without having it in the form of a protein shake. Or maybe it's a protein shake and something else, some real foods.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people do.
Okay. What would you say would be some good protein to go type food if you're like, oh, I'm going straight to work after, or not, what have you, but like easy protein on the go?
I mean, Greek yogurts. I love to have, Greek yogurts on hand, chia seeds. I add them to everything. Hemp seeds, adding those to your yogurts as well. I buy those chicken packets, like pre-made, not jerkies, but like it has to stay in the refrigerator, but pre-made single serving containers of pre-made meats so that you can add those to everything. If you really need to be quick and easy, then you're looking at protein bars that don't have a ton of additive sugars to them. And nowadays, those are way easier to find than they ever used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. Okay. Back to my lightning round. What is one exercise you secretly hate? Or do you hate them?
I mean, I am such a weirdo that I love exercise, but I think like when I think about clients, right, and programming for others, it's like the things that you don't do. So I know the things that I don't do a lot of are lateral lunges or side lunges. I just feel like I suck at them and I don't do them and I don't work on them, and I should. And I know that they're really good for you. I know all those things, but do I want to do them? Nope.
Nope, not a soul. I would say I'm probably speaking for most of the women I know, and I'm sure you can guess what we all hate would probably be burpees in fast multiple. Like a couple is great, but doing a ton of them. I think burpees I could be wrong. I don't want to be speaking for all of women out there in, the world, but I would say I feel like burpees are a pretty hated one.
I mean, that's a big one. I hear a lot of burpees, mountain climbers, and Bulgarian split squats.
Oh, okay. I mean, none of them are great, but
you could give me those all day long. I love all those, but something that takes me out sideways.
Yeah.
I won't do it.
Yeah. Okay. I know what kind of music you typically listen to. What would you say is one song that gets you fired up?
I listen to so much different music, and I typically like to listen to a lot of country, but if that's not hyping me up. So I think it depends on what I'm working or what I'm doing. I have a running song. You're going to make fun of me now forever. that if I'm on a long run and I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore, footloose. Isn't that so funny? Because it's, I know, but it is my perfect running tempo. And I will throw it on and I just like, oh, okay. So that's my running, footloose.
Okay.
And then if I'm lifting, so I listen to a lot of country, but if I'm lifting and I'm not feeling like it, it's probably like Biggie, right?
Always. Yeah.
Right? That'll get me
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to say back in CrossFit days, like when I was feeling weak, and I would be like, just put on a song that tells me I'm weak. Like, just be like, just tell me I'm weak. And because then I'm like, no, I'm not. Yeah. But I mean, not that Biggie does that, but I would definitely say I don't really have like a specific song when I run. I like dance music, like EMD. Just, I mean, not that I'm running to that pace by any stretch of the imagination. It definitely keeps me going for sure.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Last question.
Okay.
If you were to train anyone, who would you want to train? I mean, I was your one wish for a while.
Right.
So you got that.
My perfect client. And then the one I wanted, I was working on for so long. I think this answer has probably changed over the course of my career, but I'm going to go with Billie Jean King, right? Oh. Because if you think of a woman who made such a difference in women's sport, yet she was around in a time when we talked about women are not small men. Mm-hmm. If you would have been around during that time and said, hey, look, we've been researching this and we know now women should be doing this, she would have been all over it and would have been would have been so excited at that time at her peak performance that it would have just been so fun. Yeah. I think that could be fun.
That's awesome.
She would have embraced it.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I haven't really thought of that for myself.
Are you wanting to train some athletes there? Are you wanting to do some training there?
Oh gosh, no, I don't have the patience. I don't have the patience like you. I think I mean, it would send me over the edge having to repeat myself 5 times. No, you're good at all of that. And that's why I come to you.
Okay.
You don't come to me for any of that. Kind of ending a little close to the ending. What would you say, or what would you recommend one small change for someone to do this week?
Move. I think, you talk about people in longevity, that big word out there right now, and it's movement, whether that movement is walking or if it's just you're sitting at your desk all day long and you set a timer to get up and literally move around your room by swing your legs, swing your arms. So you're not seated for such long periods of time. Get up and move. And then if you are comfortable with that, then it's trying to start with a step goal for each day. Where it used to be 10 was suggested, they've dropped that down and they're like, nah, it really is more like 7,000 steps a day. And if you're not counting your steps, that's fine too. But if you're walking or not, right? But if you can get a walk in or multiple short walks in, though, that to me is really important. You just gotta move your body. You can't sit at your desk for 10 hours a day and then expect that one, even whether you're working out or you're not, but if you're working out and you do 1 hour a day and then you go sit for 10 or 8 hours, you're gonna, kind of regress again. So you gotta get up and you gotta move. I think that is one thing that everybody can do and should be doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Awesome. Well, thank you so very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. You have inspired me, continue to inspire me, because you, again, I'm just going to keep repeating that you are such a badass at what you do. So
thank you, Melanie. I really appreciate that.
I'm happy for you to kick my butt and help me not walk, but
I mean, you did say you're going to stop listening to me. So,
Yeah, at some point I did say, you know what, one of these days, Tamyra, I'm just going to tell you no.
Okay, Carrie, there is a lot to talk about. Must
Yes.
say, I have seen a few trainers, and having Tamyra has really changed my life pretty significantly. The way that I view working out and weight training. I think she's helped my daughters tremendously. You know, we did discuss that in there about
Yeah.
how old you can be when you start straight strength training. And I think it's so important. And I feel like this is a hill that I'm just going to be dying on. I know you have your kids, and are they playing sports? Are they playing multiple sports?
Yes. Olive, who is 16, she is a soccer player. And then but we're getting Tobias into soccer currently, but he does baseball. But Olive already, like the part in the conversation with your trainer just about how old to start when you're working out, Olive already goes to the gym. She goes and a few times a week and goes and lifts weights with friends.
Mm-hmm. I
And I
love
think it's,
that.
yeah, I think it's great. And then there was, because we're talking about sort of, or you were talking with your trainer about injuries and how you can prevent injuries from happening by doing strength training, even at a young age. And yeah, I mean, Olive, when she was running track a few years ago, had like something with her knee. And it
Mm-hmm.
was really just because that, is it your quad? The thigh muscle is the quad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her quads were weak, and so when we
Yeah.
took her to the doctor about it, it really ended up being that nothing is wrong with your knee. You just need
Yeah.
to
Strength. Yeah.
strengthen those quad muscles. And so yeah, I think that happens at a young age,
Yeah.
that sort of thing starts to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I feel like this is something that you can do at any age. The
Yes.
classes that I do are with women who are my age and older. And I think, like Tamyra said, she talks about longevity is
Mm-hmm.
a big term these days. When I say longevity, what comes to mind for you? The strength
Well,
training?
yeah, I mean longevity, and you're talking about like what strength training, or you're asking what strength training and longevity, how that goes together. I think that's even just for as you age and your body gets stiff almost. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's so important to keep your muscles up, for women, for us too, as we
Mm-hmm.
age and go through the change of life. Our
Mm-hmm.
muscle mass significantly decreases, and it's
Mm-hmm.
important for us to keep muscle strength up for a plethora of reasons, like including keeping our bones strong.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can even see it in my mom, where she's has a really hard time. She's never worked out or done
Mm-hmm.
any strength training as she's gotten older. And she has a whole slew of issues with her body now hurting. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's
Mm-hmm.
really because her muscles are weak.
Right, right. And do you think that it goes back to the question we talked about at the
Yeah.
very beginning? What would it take for her to,
Right. Right. I
would she go
asked
to the gym with you?
asked her that recently, like, is there something that motivates you or would motivate you? But now she's more, because of her age, she's like super old school, where I just feel like there was a lot of women in her age range that really wasn't so much of a thing that women did.
Hmm.
They didn't
Yeah,
lift weights. It was, if they were working out, they were maybe running.
jazzercise.
I was just gonna say, they were jazzercising, you know what I mean? They
We were
were,
Tybo, they were jazzercise.
yeah, or they were doing, what is that thigh master thing,
Oh,
like that was the extent of it, the weight training back in the day.
yeah.
But my mom is different. She just, that was never, for her, never a priority
Right.
at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, and you can just kind of see how that plays out later in life. And I think that's for most people.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you see recovery? Does do your kids have a different form of recovery than you see with, I can't compare it to your husband because he's a little bit older, but
Right.
than your kids, not us, but I just think recovery these days, and talking about recovery, it's become such a thing that I never had to, recovery was never a term in
Right.
my world
Not at
back in the
all.
day.
Right.
It was literally I would come home and do
the worst nachos you could imagine,
Right.
and some canned refried beans, and
You're not
you
even
know,
thinking about it. No, nobody was
no.
ever talking about that. Yeah.
No. And so now I mean, longevity and recovery are two terms that have continued to kind of stay, and protein. I mean, everything
Is
is it,
protein.
protein is in everything. We kind of talked about protein back in the day, but I think there's just so much information out there. And I think
Yeah.
there is a lot that people are trying to navigate around what's good, what's not good. And it's really
Right.
just listening to your body and knowing that like recovery is so different for everybody, and
Yep.
um it's important to do, and it's just trying to find the best way that it's going to help you recover.
Mm-hmm.
Do your kids do they do recovery stuff? Do they roll? Do they Theragun?
I'm trying to think about Olive. I feel like she's really good. She's really good at taking care of herself already at a really young age and sort of thinking about
Mhm.
the long game, if you will, just
Yeah.
with her body. I mean, even so much for her with her mental health. So yeah, I mean, sure, she'll come
Mhm.
home from a game and ice something, or she'll take a long bath. Oh, I'm going to go have a really
Mhm.
long hot bath.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about it, but I think that, like what you were saying, it is sort of like a newer concept. And
Mhm.
so since she is very much still under our little, like, we're not doing enough for her recovery, if you will. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we're
Yeah.
still this
Yeah.
old school mentality of like, just
Yeah.
throw dirt
Yeah,
on it, you're
throw it
fine.
some, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
Robitussin, as
Yeah.
Chris Rock said, just put some Robitussin on and you're fine.
Right. So I think she is mindful and knows these things just from,
Yeah,
what she gets off of the internet and maybe what she's learning at school. And
yeah,
then she might want to do all that stuff, but it can only go so far because we're like,
yeah.
recovery, what? Or
It's time to go.
yeah.
You're done recovering. We've recovered. I think you're good. So let's.
You're good, sis. Let's get up and do this. Clean your room.
Yeah.
Thanks. Take care. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Well, I think this is such a good topic of just for anybody, because I think it can really be intimidating when you say
Mhm.
strength training, because you think like, oh, what does strength training mean to people? Does it equal, when I say strength training, is it CrossFit? Is it, I'm out there lifting weights and I'm going to be this like big, huge person. And in reality, it's just trying to have you as strong as your body can accept, and
Mhm.
knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. And I mean, I don't want to have huge bulging muscles, but I also like to see that I'm working
Right.
out and getting those muscles.
And also feeling strong, right?
Yeah.
Like that feeling of like, oh yes, I can go lift that 50-pound jug of water if I needed to, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
don't you want to feel not weak or old.
Yeah, well, if you
Yeah.
have kids too, you want to be able to keep up with them. You want to be able
Right.
to do all of those things, and maybe sometimes beat them in an arm wrestling contest. That kind of feels good too.
You got to
That's
make
where it
sure
really
you're the
comes through.
yeah, you got to make sure you're on top when it comes to the kids, they can't it's a
Yeah,
competition for sure.
yeah. You got to know who's the strongest here.
Yeah.
It's got to be me somehow.
It will always be your mother, so just know
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Exactly. All right. Last question: if you could eat one thing every day without consequences, what would it be?
Mm. For sure, chocolate chip cookies,
Okay.
fresh out of the oven, like every
Yeah.
night, like after dinner, like
Yeah.
6 or 8 of them.
I love that. There's no stopping.
There isn't until I'm really full. If I could do that every night, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
you?
Mine was bagel and cream cheese, like a really good bagel and cream cheese.
Really?
I could definitely, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
I mean, and then I would say steak.
yeah. Well, how
Yeah.
often do you allow yourself to actually do like like do you limit a bagel and cream cheese or
Yeah, I mean, I kind of prioritize my calories for certain things.
Mhm.
Like I like champagne, so I'd
Yeah.
rather have champagne than a bagel. So I definitely, I mean, if I'm in New York, 100% we're going to have a bagel. I'm not going to deprive myself of that.
Right.
I just prioritize certain calories a little differently, but I also don't deprive my body of things that I mean, I have a bag of Reese's Pieces up next to my
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah. Those don't count. They're so small.
No, I agreed. Well, and I feel like champagne doesn't either because it has bubbles in it, which is air. So it's
And it's
really
just
like,
liquid.
yeah, yes, exactly. So it's all in your mindset and how you can justify all of this.
100%. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I really believe that.
Yep.
Okay, well, on that note, let's wrap things up. If competition had a second act, it might look a lot like Katie Pooler. From tennis national champion to building a whole new kind of sports community. She's joining us next week. Don't miss it. Thank you for listening to Sideline Society. And remember, there's always space for people on the sideline. Bring someone into the game next time. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you, Melanie.